Good evening. Welcome to Follow Everton. I'm Stevie, your host for this match preview, where Everton go in search of a much-needed win ahead of the World Cup. Delighted to be joined by Toffee Blue himself, Dan, Mr. Positive. Dan, are you really looking forward to this game, or could you do with another week off after Tuesday night?
Not so Mr. Positive after that last game, but I just want to get it done. And I want to get it the 3 points on it and get it done and get that fresh start. That's the big thing, is just start fresh, because it's not been that good, has it? The league position as well. It's not a nice place to be sitting in over the World Cup. No. 3 points makes a big difference. I don't know whether you know where it puts us if we did win, Steve. I don't know.
Yeah, Everton could slip to the relegation places if you just joined us. We want your views. If you're watching back, please make sure you like, subscribe, and follow us. We'll be obviously going live after the game. We had over 1,000 views, I think, on the last stream. Lots of frustrated Evertonians, us too. But this is going to be a different side. Yes, it's got the badge. Yes, many of the fans will be trekking back down to the South Coast again. And fans like us will be watching again. But this is almost a completely different Everton side that Frank Lampard's going to put out tomorrow, isn't it?
On what you just said, though, I can't believe some people, and there will be a lot, that are taking that trip twice. They're going back again. Like, after I said last time on the channel, I said I felt so sorry for the fans that had travelled, because the team that they got and the performance that they got was disgraceful. And when I go, you pay your ticket, you pay your diesel. It's not cheap to go to these away games. And to cough up your wages when it's hard times for everyone, to go and watch that and get that. And your journey on the way home is a long journey. When you come back from that, it's a long, long journey. Some people, 6 hours to get back after that game, 6 hours. And they watch that. And you've got that going through your head, 6 hours. I just thought it was selfish. I did a tweet.
It's a 12, 14-hour round trip.
Yeah.
So we want to hear from you. If you have gone, if you went on Tuesday and you're going tomorrow, we're going to give you a big shout out, because you deserve a medal.
Yeah.
We're going to go straight into the press conference. And did you catch it, Dan? I'm going to.
Yeah, I watched it. I was really. I wanted to watch it to see. I was interested on this after last game. I thought this is going to. Do you know where sometimes you think, not bothered about watching this one, but I thought with how bad last game was, this interview is going to be interesting.
The main things, if you didn't catch it, DCL, he basically dislocated his shoulder and played on. So it's basically.
Let's just go on that one though, because I've got a bit to say on that one. Do you know, like, the interview is something I do want to talk about quite a bit, because do you think it was right? Because he said DCL was carrying a few injuries. Do you think it was right to? I think you shouldn't be playing him if he's carrying injuries, with the way Calvert-Lewin is. He said he had an injury in the Newcastle game and then he took it into the Leicester game. But I wouldn't play him carrying an injury. I think it might have brought it on more. How do you feel on that?
I just feel that if you've got an injury and you've got a player on the bench that's more than adequate to take their place, yes, it would have changed the setup of the game. Just stick them on. I'm also finding it difficult that we're not giving Rondon a game. Not his biggest fan, but at the end of the day, we're not got the options. So, this sort of situation, we don't know how much of that would have caused a further injury. Maybe it's a good thing that he's not going to Qatar, because,
I just feel with his injury record, Steve, he's got to be fully fit every time you play him. Otherwise, you're asking for him to get injured. And to know, which I didn't know, that he was playing with a knee injury and a shoulder injury and carrying a few knocks, like Lampard said, I was thinking to myself, why are you taking that risk on putting him out for a long time? I thought that was bad by Everton. In my opinion, that's what I felt like when I listened to his interview on that part.
Absolutely. He's basically said he's going to be back for Boxing Day. Well, that's positive. I think we'll all be back for Boxing Day, raring to go. But this is a very strange season with a big break. We'll come on to that in a minute. The main thing is he says he's going to consider signing strikers in January. I probably is just playing it down a bit, because obviously if he says he is, then the price is going to go up. But, don't know who's out there. It seems a desperate need. to bring in some firepower, really, because that's the obvious place that we're really weak at the moment. But it's not just that, is it, Dan? It's creating chances.
Yeah, he did mention that in the press, didn't he? He said you're highlighting that it is attackers, which I definitely think we do need a big centre forward. But he did say that it doesn't all come from attackers. There is other reasons why we haven't been all firing up top. So basically it comes from your midfield as well, he was saying.
Yeah, and then in terms of what could happen, we all know Everton could go into the bottom three. So basically, he said it'd be really nice to go into that. I think he's got to feel motivated to do that. Tomorrow isn't a cup final, but as games go, it's a pretty big one. They've got to get rid of the Hoodoos of Tuesday. Yes, it's a different side. Maybe only the likes of Iwobi might have even been scarred a little bit by it. But other than the fact that it's the manager and a couple of players on the bench, it's got to be a separate team. How do you think he's going to set up? We know that Onana's back, and we know that Garner's back. Do you think he's going to revert back to the side pretty much that played against Leicester that were bloody awful?
Yeah, I think he's gonna change it completely. We're lucky that I'm happy. I was really happy to hear that Garner's back and Garner Gay's back, and Onana's back, because I as much as people have been giving them a bit of stick, I feel like they are levels above everything else that we've got, which massively showed last game. They need to be playing with Iwobi. So I feel they do come back in. Do you think in the press conference he played a lot of stuff down? I think I wanted to. This is how I feel, and when I thought about this before I come on this, I wanted Lampard in that press conference to come out and apologise to the fans first of all, but he just kind of diverted.
He said we made mistakes and missed clear chances. So
yeah, but he's just talking about the game performance. I would have apologised for the lineup that he put out. All he spoke about was that you've got to have a big squad. But fact is, I do still feel he made too many changes. He could have rested Cody and still played Tarkowski, or done it the other way around. He completely changed that, and I thought he would have said sorry.
Well, he obviously had we had a game against Leicester, but so do the Cherries had the same issue as us. They changed all 11, and they still came out fighting.
It's the same with Spurs as well. Spurs played the Champions League, and if you look at what Spurs played the Champions League before they played us, they played the same. They played the same team, and he's saying you need a big squad to play a midweek game and a weekend game. But fact is, even in the Premier League, sometimes you'll get a midweek game and a weekend game, and it felt like for me that he's overplaying that, and he was making excuses because we've got 2 games left. Well, we had 2 games left. One's gone now, and I just wanted us to play a strong team twice and stay in the cup and win this next game coming. But he also said he diverted to the other teams that have gone out in the cup, as an excuse, saying, "Oh, well, these have gone out. They've gone out. I'm sure they're not happy about going out either."
Just to pick out on the comment on the ticker, basically, Bournemouth aren't in the best of form, and you can only beat what is in front of you. Home advantage is going to be a big thing, and a lot of the side will be travelling back down and backwards. We might as well just set up a seaside resort, but Bournemouth are not the best side in the world, and they've got to be there for the taking tomorrow. And then they changed all 11 players as well. Do you see this being a draw nailed on, or do you think it will be lucky if Everton come away with a point?
I think that we've got to win this, and I think he's played it down and said it's not all on this game. But yes, he always plays it down as well. I don't know if he just does that, but this game's massive. It is generally massive with what we got last game, and how he didn't act like the fans are frustrated. Even with how frustrated we are, he's got to give us something good now. And this game, for me, we have to win it. Generally have to win it. Not even for us to stay up, but just for our confidence, Steve.
Down at Bournemouth, we've not won our last 5 away league games. 2 draws, 3 defeats. So the omens aren't great. Obviously, by Premier League standards, it's a big trip. It's probably as big as it gets. What do you think Everton have to do in their tactics to try and get the 3 points tomorrow? I think we've got to aim for the 3, and maybe settle for one if we go goal down or things don't plan out. But how would you be going about this game strategically to try and maximize the opportunity here? Because it is a massive game. When you go into a 2-week international break, it's huge. We're talking about a 6-week break here.
Yeah, well, I think you should basically just highlight what happened last game and say these fans have been let down. You've let these fans down massively, and this game is your chance to pull your socks up and make it up to the fans. And even this game, winning this game won't make it up to them, but it'll be a start to make it up to them. This is like our first game of the season. Do you know what I mean? Treat it like every game we need to play. Because I thought, Steve, after last season, nearly getting relegated, it would have been the kick up the arse that we needed. And I thought we'd appreciate being in the Premier League and go for it. And I think we do need to. He's just got to give him a kick up the backside. I don't care who he plays, but whoever plays needs to play 110%. And if that happens, if we get the best out of every player, and they all do play 110%, I do feel we'll beat them.
Interesting fact: Lampard played against his rival on the opposition side 12 times. Guess how many he won?
I don't know this fact, but it's going to be an interesting one.
As a player, he won all 12. So
it's different now. I put a couple of tweets out the other day. It doesn't matter what you've done as a player. Yeah. It's what he does as a manager. His player CV is completely different to his managing CV.
Yeah.
His managing CV has nothing on it at the minute. It's just got his Derby, Chelsea and Everton. And its trophies there. Because what you are as a player is the job of being a player and being a manager is completely different. That's how I feel. Do you not think that as well?
Absolutely. I think Lampard has a lot. He'll probably admit himself. He's got a long way to go in terms of his managerial experience. A lot of the best managers weren't the best players. We know that, but we've proven in past seasons and in conversations that it isn't always the manager that's a problem. It's kind of Everton's chronic issues. This is the problem. We've won 2 out of 24 away games. We've lost 16. It's not great reading, and it's why you and I have a lot of. Besides a joke, we do have a lot of headaches, and it's not fun when you know that 2 out of 3 games you're going to get beat. Like tomorrow, there's basically a 70% chance of us getting beat. We've got to turn that around, and I don't know how that's going to happen. Honestly, I just think it's going to take time. The home form looked like it was turning around, but the Leicester game was so bloody awful. I don't know what was worse, Leicester or Tuesday. I mean, Tuesday wasn't the first team, but Leicester was terrible.
I think the last game was the worst. Leicester frustrated me a lot as well, but they just outplayed us in the attacking thing, 50% possession, but they was a lot better attacking. But this game, as I said last time on the channel, which I'm still struggling to get over, by the way, Bournemouth they didn't play the first team. They also rested a lot of players. They played their B team as well. And their B team beat us 4-1. 4-1. Like, you can't even write that. Their B team, like, honestly, I think they probably changed about 6 players. And Bournemouth are a team that are near the bottom anyway. And they are one of the weaker teams. They're like, generally they beat us though, so I can't say much about them. But you shouldn't be getting beat by Bournemouth's B team 4-1. That's the most humiliating game for me for a very, very long time. I can't think of one more humiliating than that.
No, I mean, we've had some shockers. I've been to games like 7-0 at Arsenal. Everyone remember that?
I remember.
5-0
that,
down at half time.
Arsenal was really good though. That's the difference. Arsenal had good players. Bournemouth had. I don't even know who the Bournemouth players was. Like the Arsenal, when they battered us 7-0, they had freaking Fabregas and all that. Like, they had good players. This Bournemouth team that beat us 4-1, which ain't many goals off 7, was not a good team. They didn't put the best team out. That they're going to be. Lampard said, they said to him in the press, "Do you feel this is get Bournemouth momentum?" And this is another thing that frustrated me, is that he said no. Because they'll have a different team. We'll have a different team, but beating us does give you momentum. I don't know how you feel on that, but they will think we won our last home game, and it does give you momentum.
we don't know how much of it was actually mind games in terms of, yes, we've changed the team, but have they changed the team because they both felt like this was more important? I mean, Bournemouth need to win this game as well. They're in a terrible position.
Yeah.
And they basically went 2-0 up in both their last games. And on that basis, they won't want to go ahead and end up losing this. So I think that there's more to lose in this, and that's what worries me. We should be going for it.
It's frustrating though, because we shouldn't. It's at this moment of time in the season, we shouldn't be thinking this is a big game. We shouldn't be thinking that. Putting us in the position to think about this, we're against a team that we could be fighting with at the bottom at the end of the season. That's not good. I expected this season to be more relaxed.
I've put up the team.
What we got here.
I've put up the team. I'd like to see Patterson in instead of Coleman if he's available. I mean, he came on, didn't he?
Yeah, Patterson started, didn't he?
Yeah, exactly. So I'd like to see that. I mean, there's an argument you could change it a little bit here. But sorry, I haven't put. I've put McNeil in there. I mean, he could do what he wants, but is he going to play Mopay? Probably going to play Mopay instead of McNeil. That's actually my mistake. I was going to put Mopay in there because it seems an obvious thing.
Press the wrong thing.
No, it's okay.
Get that back on. Get that back on. I tried to make it bigger because I couldn't see it.
Well, excuse the mistake. Instead of McNeil, although he could play this, he could put Gordon down the middle, McNeil on the left, and Gray on the right. They could do that. The question is, will this side be impactful enough? Can they transition through the lines better than they've done before? Does this side have enough to beat?
Is that your squad then? That's your 11.
With the exception of McNeil, I probably would put. I'll probably change it up. And put Mopay instead of McNeil. But I mean, what's he going to do, Dan? I mean, he can't do awful lot else. Well, what would you do?
My team would be Pickford. Patterson, he gets in. He made a mistake last game, but he did look bright against these. Patterson, Tarkowski, Cody, and then Mikalenko. Then your midfield, I think this is what people will probably be looking at, but you've got to bring Garnagay back in. I know he's not been good enough yet, but fact is he has got a good player in him, and he needs to step it up. I'll bring him in, but I'd say, Garnagay, you haven't been good enough. You are a really, really good player, and that's the player that we need, Garnagay, because we're in a little bit of trouble here. If you don't step it up, then we're going to struggle. We need you at your best, Garnagay. We're relying on you. That's why you've come back to Everton. I'd give him that little talk. And I'd say the same with Onana and Iwobi. I'd play them with him as the free. Because I think Iwobi come on and look good last game. Iwobi's got it. He has got it. I ain't got a problem with him. Onana, I'd say the same. Step it up.
So where does that leave Gordon, Mopay, and Gray?
Well, this is the big debate, isn't it? I think what I've got, obviously Pickford in goals. I thought Pickford's a lot better than Begovic. People have been saying Begovic to come in, but Pickford's better than him for me. I don't know how you feel about that, Steve. Are you Pickford or Begovic in goals?
Absolutely Pickford at this point.
Yeah, well, I think we all thought like Pickford was making mistakes, see what Begovic is like, but after him palming that one and making a bit of a mistake.
I mean, I just also remember the end of the season. I know it was the last day of the season.
Bit slow, isn't he? Bit slow. I think
hard.
He's finished.
It's hard. It's hard. I'm going to just put up how it should have been, but it is hard because you know the guy's not getting much of a. He's not getting much of a run at the side.
Yeah.
And so how high can your confidence be? I mean, I like it to I do a lot of sales in my job, so I can't, if I took a week off sales, I wouldn't be so good because I wouldn't be in momentum or flow. This is how the team should have been. Question is, Dan, do you agree with this?
I would bring Gordon back in, and I've seen Gordon get a lot of stick, and people were saying get rid of him. Don't like people are on his back hardcore. Fair enough, he hasn't played well, but I think he's better than McNeil. He's more threatening than McNeil. But he's got more pace. Pace is massive for me. Always is massive. And I thought Gordon was played wrong last game. Like, if you tell me, Steve, watching that cup game, where did Gordon play? He wasn't played as a winger. He's played next to McNeil. I don't know. It confused me. So I'd give Gordon another chance. And I'd play Gray because I thought Gray come on and scored and he might have a bit of confidence against these. And I would play Rondon as a freaking wild card, and I'll get grilled for this. Mopé is my first option, but I don't like not having a centre forward. And I'm not saying Rondon's good enough, and I'm not saying he's good, but I would like a centre forward. And I feel like this is what we should have done in the window, is brought in a centre forward. Because
I think Mopé's good at feeding at scraps. He's like a little fox. But the thing is, Rondon would probably hold up the ball better and bring in other players.
I just seen a question mark Rondon, and I think the same as you. But fact is, when Tarkowski and Cody play those long balls, which they do sometimes and quite a lot last game, Keane played them. You need a centre forward. We can't afford to play without a centre forward. I just play Rondon and just say to him, hold the ball up a little bit. But we won't play him. I have heard that Rondon might not be playing because he's
on his way out.
He's on his way out. That's what I think you've heard the same as well, ain't you, Steve? I think.
Yeah, exactly.
Give Mopé a chance. Give Mopé a chance. I just said Rondon because I'm frustrated that we didn't sign a centre forward.
JT Mid says, I think James Garner might be starting since he was taken off after 55. He's not done too badly. I mean, it's early days as far as him embedding in the side. It hasn't been as seamless as the likes of Garner, but he's got a different position to play. I mean, there's still just not enough depth in the squad, is there? I mean, from a creativity point of view, do you think that, having Garner and Onana are just kind of like cancelling each other out a little bit? We kind of need to be more expressive. I mean, obviously we're going away from home, so it's different. But it's really, I think there's only really one or two spots that are potentially up for grabs tomorrow, and he'll sit on the fence. He'll just play the same side as against Leicester only. We know that.
Yeah, it's going to be. Well, you got to hope.
Maybe Patterson.
You got to hope for that Crystal Palace performance, aren't you? That is what we can't need. Is that Crystal Palace performance? The only one good performance we've had.
Just said hope for the Crystal Palace performance. That's not good. We can't be living in hope. We need. Everton are easy pickings at the moment, aren't they? They're probably the easiest team to play against generally, especially if you're playing them at home. This break, it's a strange season with the World Cup.
Do you is a quote on what you've just said? Because I'll always try and interact with you because that's what we do. Comments, by the way, I've been reading them all the way through. The regulars, I've read everything you've said. It's just
there's some great comments coming through.
Yeah, it's hard to put them up because we've got bits and bobs to say, but we do read them and we'll speak about them towards the end. So keep commenting because you are getting listened to. But I was just going to saying that I completely forgot what I was going to say. Where was we?
You were going to pick up on one of my comments.
What was you saying?
Well, I was talking about
World Cup. That's the one. World Cup. Like, do you think because Cody is going to the World Cup, and do you think that Onana's going to the World Cup? Garner Gay's going. Do you think that they might be like not 100% because they don't want to put themselves out of the World Cup?
Not at all. I don't think that's. I think everyone will be. Do
you understand what I mean? Though one injury could take them out of the World Cup.
Yep.
In this game,
you could have that at the back of your mind, but you could have said that about any of the other previous games leading up to this one game. Yes, I mean you could easily go out to the World Cup, and we've seen this before. First game, you could get injured. Don't know what's happening with the likes of Ronaldo. He's injured at the moment, so there's going to be players that go to the World Cup injured like him. That you just can't worry about these things, Dan. I don't think. I
just don't want them to not give it 100% because if they do that, Steve, that's where we could lose this game.
Cody and Tarkowski they give 110%. The problem is that you've got players that are giving 70%, and then you're talking about Palace, and we're kind of looking for this golden performance, and it seems to be only when we've got backs against the wall, there's flames down Goodison Road, and that we've actually got a really knife-edged thing going on that we actually put in a shift. Like it's one game to another, and every single game it's like rolling a dice and expecting to land a 6. More often than not, it's a 1, 3, or 5, and we're just not good enough, are we? I mean, we keep quoting ourselves, but
we can be a lot better though.
How long is the transition, Dan? How long is it from this point now? This time next year, would you be expected by this time next year, going into towards the Christmas break, lots of games, that Everton will be significantly better than now? We've seen what they could do in the last window.
If you go through every game we've played so far, we've been in every game, and we should have got more out of a lot of games. So I do believe we should be doing better than what we are. I think we're underperformed. I really do feel we've underperformed, and we should be a lot better than what we are last season, and we shouldn't be sitting in this position in the table. If I went back through every game and looked at the 2 draws where we conceded to go 1-1 late, and letting Man United back in, Tottenham being in the game, Liverpool, we could have won. We drew that. That was decent. But even Chelsea, the first game, we could have easily have drew that game. We like these little points, these 2 points for the win and drawing. If we gained an extra 6-7 points in the table with how close it is, Steve, we wouldn't be that worried, would we? I do feel we could have done a lot more. Hey, no, Mick's there, look.
Yeah.
In the comments.
Hi, Mick. It's Lampard's biggest game. And we had Stu's comment earlier saying we could go 13th or 14th. I mean, there is that shift. I mean, it is only a few points to the bottom 3, but it's not that far to get some way up. And I just think if we can nick the points tomorrow, Dan, I'd be made up, because everyone can go, right, let's go and have a good break, enjoy the World Cup, not as much riding on it. I mean, from an England perspective, that's a different game altogether. For the record, England are playing terrible as well, so they've probably got a good chance of going quite far, because that's how these things work. I don't know.
I'm not disrespecting.
Take 1-0 tomorrow. Because
I'm not disrespecting Bournemouth here.
No,
I'm not disrespecting Bournemouth here, Steve. But fact is, if you're in a relegation battle, Bournemouth are probably going to be one of the teams. If we don't beat them tomorrow, I'm going to go mad. Like, we're in trouble. I'm not even joking, because they are going to be one of the teams that are at the bottom of the table that you need to beat to stay up. Fact is, we need to beat Bournemouth to stay up, in my head. And if we don't beat them, like Mick's just said there, if we don't beat them tomorrow, when we're up for this game, we've got a fully fit team, we're in trouble. So as simple as that. And I do feel we should beat them, and I do feel that we can. But if we don't, this is a big game. Lampard said it's not a big game in the press, and I completely disagree with him there. This is a big game. With the way our results have gone, this is a big game for me. How do you feel? I just feel it is a really, really big game, and I will keep pointing that out.
It's big. Solanke is the favourite to score first. He's 11-2.
He didn't even play last game, did he? He did. Oh, they played a weak team. We are playing against better players this game. You forget that.
Yeah, exactly. Anthony Gordon 6-1, Mupay 6-1, and then we've got Kiefer Moore 13-2. In terms of Everton outright for the win, 6-4. I think this game, I mean, I'm quite famous for my predictions. This game, I'd love a 1-1, but I'd also take a 0-0 at this point. 5-1.
You're happy with a draw?
At this point, I just don't want to get beat on this game going into.
Yeah, but if we keep picking up these draws,
a draws away from home, Dan, are kind of an improvement on where we were last year.
Yeah, but we've had a lot. Like, we've seen teams that are playing worse than us this season win a few games and end up better than us in this table now. Like, you can get that. I've said this, and it sounds so basic. A team can play shit twice and win one game. And we could play good all 3 games and draw all 3, and they get the same rewards as what we've got. Like, you keep drawing and saying we're unbeaten, you draw 3. A team only needs to win 1 out of the 3 to do exactly what you've done. Draws can put you in trouble. That's why we are where we are now in the table, because if you go back, we've drew quite a few.
Definitely. I think 11
Same with the Fulham draw.
With stake.com, our partners. So it's always a sit on a fence when you predict a draw. I mean, no one wants a draw. I mean, I don't think in America, I think in the sports, I don't think they do draws, do they? They just keep playing until someone wins. They don't do a tie. Ties for losers. Could you imagine if every game ended up in a penalty shootout? It'd be terrible.
Yeah, it's just. Do you think I know that, like I say, I'm not disrespectful if I know they're all right, but do you feel that we should be beating them? I know you probably thinking, "Oh, we are crap."
What are we basing this on? Are we basing this on our history, our fans, our quality of squad?
I think our first team
or
should
on
be
form,
born.
because on form, no, we shouldn't.
No,
be
not on
them.
form. On what our players are capable of. If you go through our team and put Garner Gay at his best, Onana at his best, if Lampard gets these players not even at 100%, at 95%, I honestly think that we should beat Bournemouth. But like you say, on form, I can't say nothing.
How many times have we spoken that? I was quite optimistic going to Leicester, to be honest, Dan.
Yeah,
I didn't see that one coming. That was a bit of a shot in the dark. And Leicester fully deserved to win. It was only a week ago. I think with us playing in between, we kind of almost have forgotten about it. But because, what's happened this week, pretty much not scored again. How many games have we not scored? More than half now.
I did see someone just said there, you need to get the face paint. I had this conversation with my partner earlier on.
Yeah.
So what will you paint your face? My face paint is 2 wins and 1 draw. And we haven't been beat with the face paint. But when we drew with my face paint, I was frustrated with the draw against Fulham. So I said, I'm not doing it anymore because I was frustrated with the draw. And now I'm thinking, I wish I would have wore the face paint against Bournemouth last game because a draw would have took us to penalties. So the face paint is still unbeaten, but it didn't make us win that last game. So someone just said, get the face paint back out.
Maybe it should, Dan. Maybe get it out and we'll have it on tomorrow. JT Mid says they come up from the Championship with no signings. Well, they're doing better than Norwich have signed everyone. Can't even get a bus big enough. And they've got an interim coach, so we should be able to beat them. Yes, football's a funny game now, isn't it? I mean, what you should do and what you do are 2 different things. Look at, Liverpool scraped through on penalties the other day. We've got also, the football is just, it doesn't always go. It is a game. It's a game of sport. It's not as easy to predict the Premier League this year because I think a lot of teams are about the same as each other, give or take. And yeah, the teams like Everton, who obviously pride themselves on a reputation, but we're just not that much better than a lot of these teams.
The big problem with us, even though we've got these new players, when we have to go and take it to a team, we haven't got that much game and don't know how to do it. The Crystal Palace was the first time I've seen us where we take it to a team. And that's why I say we need that performance. But when we go and take it to a team, we don't know how to do it. And that's why we struggle against weaker teams sometimes. And this team, if we go to take it to them and we struggle, then they're going to catch us on the counter. So I don't know how you feel. Sometimes I'm more scared of these games than what I am against the big teams.
I think with the big teams, we've got nothing to lose, Dan.
Yeah, we just counter-attack. We sit back, we counter-attack. We know what we've got to do. And you're expected to lose. And
when those sides are coming onto us, we can break, we can use, some attacking flair, Demari Gray, we've got a bit of pace, Gordon. When it's kind of like a 50-50 game, you would expect this one to be around about that, give or take 5%, maybe 45, 55 in terms of possession and sort of chances. It's just anyone's game, really.
Have you heard about that rumor, Steve? Because I've seen it on Twitter. Let's drop it just for a bit of
go on.
Gossipy. Have you heard about the rumor Gordon launching his football boot to Ashley Cole and Mina and Holgate having to hold Gordon back?
We've heard a lot of rumors in the dressing room.
Have you heard that one though? This was like
not
last
this
game.
Particular one.
This was last game. Apparently, I don't believe it. I just put that to bed. I don't believe
there's any evidence. You can't believe it. I mean,
well, this is just what's going around. I don't know whether it could be someone that's in the know or it could be a complete rumor. Until it's proven, you can't think it. But a lot of people was like straight away then saying that all these 3 players, if they've done that to Ashley Cole, should get, like, you can imagine what they'd say, the sack, the freaking fine, ban or whatever. But it like a lot of things with Everton, we get on players' backs for stuff that we don't even know is true.
First step for me, Dan, is obviously we can't get on backs of players. The first step for me is just getting some shots on target. Because we're not creating the chances and we're just not registering enough shots, and sides are getting shots against us. And it's partly because we're not as much of an attacking threat. And, the old saying is, the best way to defend is to attack. If we just did a little bit less defending, that would be a start.
Would you do this, Steve? Would you do this? What Mick's just said. I'd throw on Tom Cannon up front tomorrow. Play our strongest squad and just change one player. And say to that player, this is your chance.
There's less risk in playing one player up front in the middle than there is swapping your centre midfield or your centre defender or something like that. Yes, there is. But it's the spine of the team. I don't think Mopé is probably the right player on his own tomorrow. I think if you're going to play Mopé, you play someone alongside him. Mopé needs to then be in a 2. But, I mean, what do I know? I mean, I'm not paid to manage the team. I
just think, like you've just said,
what's your 3-point plan? What's your 3-point plan? 3 points that you think Everton would need to do. If you were sending the Blues out right now onto the pitch against the Cherries tomorrow, what are the 3 things you'd be telling them?
I'd go for the tactic, right? This is how I'd do the game if I'm the manager, and I'd love to be the manager. So Dan is the Everton manager right now. And what I'd do is I'd go back to the Crystal Palace game and I'd say, if you're not going to pass it through these that easy if they sit back. So what I'm going to say is let them come on to you. So pass it out from defence like we did against Crystal Palace. So pass it, keep the ball, don't lose it. So pass it out from defence. And when they come out, then your players like Gordon and Gray are going to get space when they come at you, because that's how you break the lines. So I just think that's how we need to play. I don't want to see us lose the ball. I want to see us go back to just keeping the ball and say,
so keep the ball from the back.
Yeah.
I mean, we've struggled with the press, but keep the ball from the back. They won't be pressing like some of the sides that we've come up against.
They will come at you eventually, though. Do you know what I mean? If you keep passing it, they'll come at you. So if you keep passing it from the back, they'll come at you. And the moment they come at you, that is going to open it up for us against the opposition. That's how I'd like us to play. That's how I want us to play, full stop.
Play from the back. What's your second point?
My second point is make sure you take your chances, because I don't want to see
I was at Tottenham and we could have probably drawn 2-2 in an awful game. You've got to take your chances, haven't you? But it's just sometimes it just doesn't fall for you. And we've got some comments about Townsend coming in. I mean, I think we need a bit more than that. But
there's another one for you. I don't know whether you've read this. Dele Alli is not happy with the Besiktas manager, wherever he is. I think it's
so he's coming back,
and he wants to come back to Everton. How do you feel about this? How do you feel in the comments?
Is that for me? Is that for the comments?
No, for you. For you, mainly. For you, who I'm talking to. But just people in the comments say what they think as well.
I wouldn't have Dele Alli back. I just think when things don't work out, they're not going to work out again. No. And I just think he's clearly not going to settle in our team. But we're not creating chances. So on paper, it seems like, you put someone like Dele Alli in, and then maybe you have Mopé playing off him or Calvert-Lewin when he's back. That sounds quite good in theory, but it hasn't worked. We've seen how many games? Was it 18, 20 games? 15 games? I don't know. We saw enough of Dele Alli to see he is not a shadow of the player that was in the World Cup semi-final against Croatia.
Well, I watched Lampard's uncle. I don't know if you've seen it in one of the... he rang up one of the Talk Sport channels, and he said that Redknapp said that he told Lampard to get Dele Alli because if you get a tune out of him, he's good. So Lampard got him, but then he did say he wasn't that good at Everton. He wasn't trying and stuff like that. And I think if Dele Alli, when we got rid of him, I thought it was going to be the kick up the arse that he needed. And he'd go to Besiktas and he'd get a private trainer and he'd say, right, I'm going to get my name back to what it was, because he used to be a good footballer at the very start. So I thought he'd go away and work his arse off and come back and prove everyone wrong. But he's gone there. He hasn't done nothing there. It looks like he's still got the attitude. We don't need someone with attitude. So if he comes back, he's not the man, is he? You always think of the Dele Alli that can score goals, that you think you need a goal scorer now, but fact is, he's not that player anymore, is he?
It's not a shadow, and I just don't know. It's just another risk, but do we have to have him back, Dan? Is that contractually obliged? I didn't think we did.
If we've done a, I think it's around 8 million or 9 million for them having an agreement where they can buy him, but they can say no. And if they say no, he comes back.
Mick says that, a fully focused Ali could have been a good link up. He's absolutely spot on, but if and buts and this and that. Okay, so you basically said Everton to win tomorrow have to play out, really keep the ball, possession.
What do you think? What do you think on that? What's your plan? And then we'll do scores just to finish off.
Well, I haven't had your third point yet. You keep the ball, take the chances. What's your third point?
My third point is for Lampard. Lampard needs to give Everton.
Remember, this is Lampard giving the team, so not Lampard.
I don't care that this is a point to Lampard when he gives. This is a point to Lampard looking in the mirror, and not overdoing it with these players, because these players just need simple instructions, and I want Lampard to give this team instructions that they can accomplish, where he's going to get 110%. Because I'm seeing Onana at 60%. He's not getting played right to be at his best. So I want Lampard to set him up where they all know the job and they can give 110%. I want to see every player play well, and Lampard's tactics be good enough to make them play well.
Yeah, he'll want to go in and win as much as anyone. He's one of us. But
what's your points, and then we'll do scores. What?
I think for Everton tomorrow, we've got to press with some intensity. We've got to kind of go out as if it really means something and really try and take the game to them, because the tactics.
Just 1 second. This is a story that many people won't know. We've got a few on now, quite a few on. Basically, James Rodriguez, when he played for us, he was amazing, by the way, creator, the player that we need now, basically, the Madison. James Rodriguez went to Blackpool, and Mick lives in Blackpool, and James Rodriguez Mick does donkey rides in Blackpool on the beach, and James Rodriguez went and had a donkey ride with Mick, and Mick's one of James Rodriguez's biggest fans because he's actually met him and been on a donkey ride with Mick.
Really? Yeah. That's a really good story, Dan. Thanks for sharing
That's why Mick loves him. That's why Mick loves him so much. I've got pictures and everything of Mick with James Rodriguez on Blackpool Beach with the meeting him, donkey ride and stuff like that.
But he looked a bit lazy when he was playing for Everton. Quality player, but I mean...
He's just got the football brain though, hasn't he? That's what we need at the minute. Someone that makes things tick.
It's not a league where you can afford to really have... I mean, yes, if you have a player that's got great vision, they have more time on the ball, the Sheringham type, where they're a footballing brain, but maybe not got the pace of Michael Owen in his day or whatever. But this is a league where you can't carry players. And when Everton did have James Rodriguez, they looked like they were carrying him, Dan. I know that he did come up with a couple of killer
I don't think we had...
But we've lost... What the big problem I think, Dan, is you've asked me for my comments, is we haven't got any good crosses of the ball. So on that base, maybe James Garner needs to come in, because Sigurdsson and Dingue were really the creators, and they've gone. They're not in the side, so we're not putting the balls in. We're not looking threatening.
I don't think I might get stick for this, I don't think James Garner looked that good last game.
Press, put the ball in the box. Doesn't matter whether DCL's there or not. Just put it in bloody box and shoot. I want to say shoot on sight, but get some.
These are your points, and I want to hear them. But I am just still going to talk about your points to get more out of your points. Who you crossing the ball into?
Players that will arrive from
the box. No, out of our players that are going to play. Yeah, well, can he head a ball? I agree with you.
Maybe we need to play off the set pieces.
Cody, it frustrates me we haven't got a centre forward to get freaking crosses in. That's why I play Rondon.
It's chronic, isn't it? I mean, it's going back 6 months. We've been talking about centre forwards for about a year on this channel.
Your next point, Steve. I like your points, to be fair. I like your football views.
Pressing, going out, wearing the blue shirt as if it means something tomorrow, and playing in the Everton spirit. Just playing the Everton way. Playing the way we should play.
I like the press. I've got two tactics: either pass out for the back or press. I think press is good because it can make them make mistakes. We've got a lot of joys from the press, haven't we, Steve? Like some of our goals have come from the press. I don't know if you could.
And we've got players like Iwobi that are really seriously fit that should be able to really lead that press. But it's a whole team. It can't just be one player.
But there was two good presses in my head. Was one where Onana against Man United pressed Casemiro and we scored. And then another one was where Garner Gay pressed the other day and he turned it over as well, and we missed a chance when he pressed. So the press definitely is something.
It's hard to do it every game after game, unless you've got asthma inhalers. But I think, in this case, just go for it. Go for hell for leather now. You've got a 6-week break, and obviously we're going off to Australia. But apart from these friendly games, 6 weeks for some of these players they're going to be off. Just go for it. And then the shots, I don't care. Just get some bloody shots in on goal, because it's so boring to watch Everton at the best of times because we're not threatening. Just
if you don't shoot, you don't score, do you, Steve?
I don't care who they are. I mean, to a certain extent, we looked slightly better when it was just Gordon up front on the middle on his own. It wasn't right, but at least at that point, you've got a focal point. He was getting shots in, he was getting chances, and I wouldn't be surprised if he goes back down to that sort of route, tomorrow. It's like play on the break, maybe play Gordon down the middle.
When we did start with three, do you know when we didn't start with when we started the season, we played without a striker. So with our tactics, we knew we couldn't just knock it forward, so we had to play it because we knew we didn't have a striker. And like you say, that massively benefited us playing without a striker, to be fair. So we probably might go back to that. You're right.
Good point about Onana. He has missed a couple. But he will improve. He's a player for the future. He's one of the best young talents in the league, certainly in my view. But
he's a good player.
Well respected. Listen,
scores.
Yeah, we're going to wrap up with the scores. We'll go for you, Dan, first. We'll go.
People in the comments, we've been reading them. Drop your scores. What you think the score's going to be? It's going to be interesting to see what your scores are going to be. I'm going to go. Steve, did you hear my score last game?
Well, you didn't. No, I didn't actually hear your score.
My score last game was 4-1 to us, and they beat us 4-1. I got it right, but the wrong way round.
I don't think you get any points for that, Dan.
If only I put it on wrong by accident.
So why don't you
got good money for that?
2-1 to them, and then we've got a decent chance.
Oh, I can't believe I got the score right, but the wrong way round. As if I said 4-1. Everton are going to win 4-1, then they beat us 4-1. I cursed it. I generally do think that the score is going to be 3-0. Everton.
Who's these 3 goals coming from, mate?
I think Gray scored against them. He'll score again. I think Gordon's getting a lot of stick and he needs to prove himself, and he might score one. And I think maybe Iwobi Onana could chuck in with a goal. I'd love Onana to score. I don't know why. I know Onana is like you said, Steve, is a player that needs time, but I love him. I really do love Onana, and I want him to score. And that goal, when he does score, it breaks the ice then, doesn't it? He might start going and scoring a couple because he hasn't scored for us yet.
Yeah, you go on a run.
Yeah.
You go on a run.
I'd love him to score. So Onana, Gray and Gordon.
So what's your prediction?
3-0. Onana, Gray, Gordon.
Okay, 3-0.
What's yours? Come on, what's yours? This could be interesting.
Well, I'm off to the bookies tomorrow to put 3-0 on the Cherries because based on your reverse bet, I know how we. No, in all seriousness, couldn't do that. Couldn't do that. The heart says that we'll win 2-1. The head says it'll be a draw, 1-1.
Go with the heart. Don't go with the head.
Yeah, well, we'll see.
Unless you want to win money.
David says 1-1. I think I think it's probably the most obvious sort of
drop score, everyone's score, Steve. Give them a good readout.
Yeah, no, we've had pretty much most of them have gone up. Mark Foster says 2-1 with Onana the winner. We'll take that tomorrow, wouldn't we?
Yeah, I don't know. I've got him on the Onana.
Dan, I want to see you delighted at 4:45 tomorrow. I want to see you with face paint.
I hope so.
And all of
we need it. It's you as well, Steve. I've read your comments in our little Follow Everton group, and you've been frustrated as well. You're like commenting 10 minutes in the game saying this is not good. Do you know what I mean? I don't
we're
want
all
that.
different personas, aren't we?
Yeah, I want
when
us
we're
to be
actually
good.
watching the game, and I've been at games where I've do you know what? It's like literally watching. I've barely missed a game since about 1989, 1990. Obviously, it was radio then a lot of the time. I was 7 or 8. But literally, this is as boring as I've ever been as a supporter. And I'm talking about like mid-90s, we were crap, but at least we were quite good in places. You know, we had Hinchcliffe, we had some exciting corners, we had Big Dunk, we had, you know, Dave Watson going up from corners, Limpar and Kanchelskis, and there was things that were happening. This side is just bloody paint drying. I could be doing something else during the match and I probably wouldn't miss anything. I mean, why are we bored as fans? I mean, am I speaking for myself or am I speaking for the whole Everton world?
There's a lot of frustration out there.
The atmosphere is, it's not great at best of times. And maybe the end of last year was a big lift with what happened, but we've kind of gone back to this old way. The big thing, Dan, that has to change, and we're both on the same page, is we've got to get some firepower in. We've got to go out and try and get some goals in matches because, yes, we're going to be harder to beat this year, but you know, it's just not going to happen if we can't score. If we can't score in half the games, we're not
just got to go. I agree with you, though. The reason I don't think that we can't score, I think we've got to go for it more. And I like what you said. I think we've got to go out and just go for it and see what happens. I often feel we sit back and we think too much. We've just got to go out, press them as a team, go for it, show them they're playing a team, get in the faces, and just go out and let them make mistakes. And you'll get goals by doing that. But if you don't do that, and it allows the other team to get into it. So I've changed what I said, play out from defence, Steve. I've changed my mind. I want to do what you said. I want to just go out and press them and just get in the faces. And I've decided now, after a few people commenting, saying get the face paint back, which goes everywhere around my house. I'm going to get the face paint out tomorrow now because we need it.
Before the game?
Yeah, I'm going to get the face paint on for the next game tomorrow. I'm going to get the.
And you're going to come on. You're going to come on the stream.
Yeah,
win, lose or draw.
We best not. If I've got that face paint on again, we best not bloody lose.
No, not if it's half a face as a cherry.
I'm going to do. No, I've got the. This is one I haven't. This is one I haven't done, Steve. I've got the. Do you know the white and grey striped kit?
Oh yeah, I love it.
I'm going to do grey and white stripes, the white and grey stripe kit. I've got that wash fresh ready. I'm going to try that.
You should have just surprised us, but we'll
No, I just, because it will be a surprise because I'm going to look like an idiot. So I'm going to get that out.
We're going to see tomorrow. For everyone that's joined us this evening, it's been a great preview. I'm now more looking forward to the game than I was before because whatever happens, we get good old Dan with a black and white face paint looking like a barcode as we head into the 6-week strange break. And we'll have our rolling team of pundits. We'll have your comments. We'll be going live shortly after the whistle. I know it's a long track for those who have made it. If you are going, whether it's the first or second time this week, you deserve a medal.
You do.
So from the bottom of our hearts, we
stick together. Stick together. Like even people in the comments, like we're in this together. Like, whatever happens, I know there's been Lampard outshouts and stuff, but Lampard's got to expect criticism from that last game. But fact is, I've given Lampard criticism. I've even said he's not doing it, but I'm behind him 100% this game because all I want to see is Everton to do well. And if Lampard steps it up next game, I'm buzzing. I just want Everton to do well. And I know Steve does. I know you lot do. So we've just got to get behind them no matter what.
If you are going up tomorrow, I know that it's going to be a fairly early start. Coaches leaving around, 6, 7 o'clock. The match kicks off obviously at 3 o'clock, unless you've been under a cloud, which is rather unusual these days to see any sort of game kick off at that time. But the weather is really warm this time of year. 15 degrees is the forecast tomorrow in Bournemouth, which for this period of the
weatherman.
Yeah. Oh, I've got all my stats.
You are the stat king. Do you know what I said, Dave? I always big David up for the tools and the stats, but you just like
you didn't think I was going to turn to that. But it's not going to be cold. You won't see Iwobi wearing gloves. So for this time of year, at least the fans are not going to be sat freezing cold. But my God, if it's 15 degrees in Bournemouth, what's it going to be like in Qatar for Cody and for Pickford? we'll see. I'm sure there'll be plenty of time to talk around the World Cup, and hopefully we'll have some nice videos. Rest assured, we're not going to go completely silent for 6 weeks. There'll be videos before and after games. We'll be looking for players like Onana that are going to be linking up with their international teammates. And we'll be talking around Everton's trip down under as they face Celtic and the Sydney side, I think. But
we always say this, Steve, but if anyone's got any ideas what for us to do World Cup to keep you lot entertained, always put it in the comments. We always
maybe we should just turn it into the World Cup show, Dan.
Yeah, the Follow Everton World Cup show.
Will you be watching the opening game, Qatar against?
On the World Cup, I'm not going to lie. I try and watch every game. I do. If I won't have time to watch every game because I have got a busy life, but I do like the World Cup. I'm not one. I do want England to do well, but I do like watching an underdog. I don't know who my underdog team is yet. I don't know. I'm going to have a good look. Maybe Garner Gay, I might get behind his team.
I think I want all Evertonians to do well, but also come back intact.
Yeah.
But it'll be interesting. We'll have plenty of a chance to sort of mull over it. But a lot of people have had a long week. Thank you for joining us this evening.
Yeah, thank you.
And if you're watching on replay, enjoy the game tomorrow as best as possible. And then we'll see you after the whistle. From me, from Dan, from the team here at Follow Everton, it's been a pleasure having your company and wish you a good evening.
Up the fucking toughest. Love you all.